ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 60, entitled Krishna Teases Rukmini. Text number 3. Tasmin antargruhe bhajan mukta dama vilambina virajite vitanena दीपैर मणि मयैर अपि तस्मिन् अंतर्गृहे भ्राजन् मुक्तादामा विलंबिना विराजिते वितानेन दीपैर्मणिमयैर अपि तस्मिन्नन्तर्गृहे भ्राजन् मुक्तादाम विलंबिना विराजिते वितानेन दीपैर्मणिमयैर अपि तस्मिन्नन्तर्गृहे भ्राजन् मुक्तादाम विलंबिना विराजिते वितानेन दीपैर्मणिमयैर अपि विलंबिना Ladies, there are few more slokas which I will only read. मल्लिका दामा भी पुष्पैर द्विरेफकुलेनादिते जालरंध्र प्रविष्टश्च गोभिश्चंद्रास चंद्रमसो मति मलई गोभिश्चंद्र मसो मलई पारिजात वनामोध वायुज्ञानशालिना धूपैर अगुरु जयराजन जालरंध्र विनिकृतै विनिर्गतै पयः फेण निभे शुभ्रे पर्यांके कशिपुत्तमे उपतष्ठे सुखासीनं जगताम ईश्वरम पतिम. Translation. Queen Rukmini's quarters were extremely beautiful, boasting a canopy hung with brilliant strings of pearls, as well as effulgent jewels serving as lamps. Garlands of jasmine and other flowers hung here and there, attracting the swarms of humming bees, and the spotless rays of the moon shone through the holes of lattice windows, as aguru incense drifted out of the window holes. My dear king, the breeze wafting the scent of the Parijata grove carried the mood of a garden in the room. There the queen served her husband, the supreme lord of all the worlds, as he reclined upon the opulent pillow on her bed, which was as soft and white as the foam of milk. I will read this translation again so that you can meditate on those beautiful poetic descriptions. Queen Rukmini's quarters were extremely beautiful, boasting a canopy hung with brilliant strings of pearls, as well as effulgent jewels which were serving as lamps. This is a description of the area above Sri Krishna, above the bed which is inside the bedroom of Rukmini Devi. Garlands of jasmine and other flowers hung here and there. And what was happening? It was attracting swarms of humming bees, beautiful songs of the bees. And the spotless rays, now this is just outside the bedroom, there is a lattice meshwork of carvings, and through the holes of the lattice, what's happening? The spotless rays of moon are shining through the holes of the lattice windows, which is coming inside the bedroom. And then inside the bedroom there is aguru incense, which was going around the whole bedroom and which was drifting out of the windows through holes. My dear king, the breeze, now what is happening? Some breeze is going from inside out and something is coming from outside in. The breeze wafting the scent of Parijata grove, which is outside in the courtyard, carried the mood of the garden inside the bedroom, mixing the two beautiful fragrances. There, in such a beautiful atmosphere, the queen served her husband. That means Rukmini served the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Lord of all the worlds, as he reclined in a relaxed mood on an opulent pillow on her bed, which was as soft and white as the foam of milk. Srimad Bhagavatam is a poetry actually. Purport. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, Rukmini's palace was quite famous then as now, and these descriptions give a glimpse into its opulence. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur adds that the word Amalai in this verse may also be read as Arunai, which could indicate when the pastime took place when the moon had just risen, evening time, bathing the entire palace in the beautiful ruddy moonshine. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। तो श्रीमद् भागवतम is now taking us to Dwarka. The location is in Dwarka, and all of us should actually mentally go to Dwarka and situate our consciousness in Dwarka, so that the beautiful Aishwarya Sampanna pastimes of the Lord of Dwarka are revealed in our heart. As the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam is always to take us to the location where the pastime took place. That is the purpose actually. We may be sitting in Bombay, but we should absorb our consciousness in the location and the pastime described in Srimad Bhagavatam. That is the way King Kulashekar heard all the pastimes of Lord Ramchandra. He was not in his own kingdom of Tamil Nadu, Madras. When he was hearing the pastimes of Lord Ramchandra, he was there, right in the pastime. He was not considering he is a king and he is the audience and somebody is narrating. He would be right there in the pastime of Lord Ramchandra as a participant of the Leela. And in that mood, he would absorb himself so much that at times he took out his army and went towards Lanka actually. Entered the ocean with the all army and horses. And the armies had to follow the king's order because he was absorbed in that mood. It's an amazing example of how one should hear the pastimes of the Lord. So, this beautiful Dwarka Nagari is manifestations of Lord's opulence, the utter maximum. We know in the spiritual world there is Brahma Jyoti, and there are in Brahma Jyoti floating lot of Vaikuntha planets, unlimited Vaikuntha planets, and there are so many beautiful, opulent, attractive Vishnu forms of the Lord, and they are maintaining those beautiful Vaikuntha atmosphere and the great atmosphere of opulence and service to the Lord. And those Vaikuntha planets then further specialize, or they get more concentrated into different bhav, and then they become Dwarka and Ayodhya and Mathura. And then there is Golok Vrindavan. So this same Dwarka of the Vaikuntha planets manifests in the material world on earth. And there's a beautiful story how this beautiful Dwarka Nagari manifested on earth. As we know how Vrindavan appeared on earth, so Radharani desired that she will not come down. So Krishna took out 84 krosha area of Goloka and manifested on earthly planet with Govardhan and Jamuna Devi. So similarly, there is a story which goes like this. There were many Manus, and we all know that Manu is son of Brahma, and then Manu creates progeny, and there are many dynasties of beautiful exemplary Manus. So one of the Manus had a son called Sharyati, and he ruled over earth for 10,000 years in a very devotional and a very exemplary manner. And then when he became old, he divided his kingdom. He had 3 sons, Uttana Barhi, Bhurishena and Anartha. They were his 3 sons. They were also great illustrious sons, great in qualities of devotion and also chivalry. So he divided his kingdom in 3 parts. Eastern side he gave it to Uttana Barhi, and southern part he gave it to Bhurishena, the whole direction. That means the whole earth was his kingdom. So everything was unlimited in one sense. And Anartha was a very learned son. He gave it to him western side of his kingdom. And he told, when he was orienting his sons, that all this earth is mine. I have maintained the earth with my efforts and hard work. I have earned the earth with my power. Now I hand over to you, my sons. Please look after it well. So Anartha was very learned. He said, sorry, my father. I'm sorry. Neither the earth was yours, nor you have maintained it, nor you have earned it. Nothing is true, whatever you have said. Sri Krishna is the sole real proprietor and maintainer and creator of this earth. It is his property. It was never yours. He is the creator, organizer, and because of him it gets destroyed in the course of time. He is the shelter of all the living entities, not you. The living entities take shelter in him. That is real ashraya. And due to his fear, the Vayu blows, the rains fall on earth, and personified death runs around here and there, catching souls and punishing them. Everything happens by his reign and rule. So you worship him from the heart, and please get free from pride. The big counseling from a son to the father, which was actually Maryada Vrati Vyatikrama in one sense. But still it was a fact. Because the way the father boasted, the son had to tell in a very humble manner, but firmly, what is the truth. The father, can imagine, he got wild actually. He trembled in anger and said, get out of my sight, you arrogant fool. Please get away. You can't live in my country anymore. Wherever I rule, whichever I rule, in that piece of land you cannot live. Find your own place. Let the Lord whom you believe in so much. Of course, he was a devotee of the Lord, but when pride takes over, then Mati gets completely destroyed, So he says, let that Lord create another earth for you. Let me see what kind of earth he creates for you. Find your own place. Get out of this place. So Anartha very humbly said, yes, now I'm your order carrier, I'm living now. I will find my place, but I will not live on your land as you ordered me. So he went in the middle of the ocean, where today we have Arabic Ocean near Gujarat. He went in the middle of the ocean and he performed 10,000 years of tapasya. And he developed symptoms of love and devotion, prema bhakti. And Sri Krishna gave darshan to him as soon as he developed those loving symptoms in his character. And Sri Krishna asked him, why are you doing tapasya? He said, all the story he told, my father kicked me out of his kingdom and I told him the truth, he couldn't tolerate the truth. Now I need a place to stay. So the Lord, he said, all glories to you, my Lord. You are so kind that you bestowed upon Dhruva a place where nobody could actually go there, and neither it could ever get destroyed. Adhal Sthan, Dhruva Sthan. Dhruva Sthan means which is always there, eternally existing. By his tapasya you awarded him. Please give me also a place to stay. So Lord Krishna was so pleased with him. And it is explained that he actually took out 100 yojana square, that means 100 square yojanas, wide and long. One yojana is 8 miles, if I am right. 100 yojana worth area he plucked from Vaikunta, that is Dwarka Vaikunta, and established that Vaikunta on the basis of Sudarshan Chakra, his own weapon. That chakra actually first settled himself down on the ocean, and on the, who can say in technical terms, plinth, on the plinth of Sudarshan Chakra, he established that glorious 100 square yojana part of the Dwarka Vaikunta. And that is Dwarka which was manifested. And on that Dwarka, Anartha, he became king and he ruled for 100,000 years. And it was filled with all the Aishwarya of Vaikunta. The glorious, opulent situation of Vaikunta was all manifested over there. Then Anartha, at one point of time, uprooted one mountain called Sri Shaila, and his son Revata carried it from that place, wherever it was, to his kingdom, that is Dwarka. That's why the Parvat was called later on Revataka Parvat, which is there. Now this Dwarka is very, very glorious. Now we are going to all describe, read further for many chapters, maybe at least many verses, the glories of things that happened in Dwarka. So we should know this glory of Dwarka in such a way that we can appreciate. It is said that there is a river called Gomati. What happened was that when Lord was giving darshan to Anartha, it is said that Anartha was also shedding tears of love. And looking at that, the Lord also shed his tears. Lord was overwhelmed with the devotion. And through his tears, Gomati river formed. It is also described in some other places that when Sri Krishna was missing all the gopis and Radharani, when he was in Dwarka, he was in separation. Not the only gopis were in separation, he was also in separation. He was also crying. Many a times in loneliness he would cry, in Ekanta. And through his tears also Gomati river is formed. That also is mentioned. Anyway, both the descriptions are true. So this Gomati is like Jamuna is the inseparable ingredient of Sri Vrindavan Dham. You cannot think of Vrindavan without Jamuna. Like that, without Gomati one cannot think of Dwarka. So it is said that this Gomati river is so powerful that one can take bath in Gomati river, even the Pataka of Brahma Hatya can be destroyed. It is said, all the Lokaghati Pataka, that means all the sins which disturb people, disturb living entities on this material world, those kind of sins also are washed up just by taking bath in Gomati. It is said at your houses, at your homes when you take bath, in your ashrams when you take bath, and while taking bath from a bucket, from a shower, or from whatever way you take bath in your house, if you just chant Gomati, Gomati, you will receive the benefit of taking bath in Gomati. And the benefit of taking bath in Gomati, whatever is described over here, will be also available to you. Just by darshan of Gomati, millions of sins are destroyed. And Bhakta Revata also attained the darshan of Gomati. And that time also the tears came out of the eyes of the Lord, looking at the divine love. It is said if somebody accepts the Raj of Gomati river and takes it on his head, he gets freed from sins of instantly, of 100 lifetimes of worst sins in his life, he gets freed from. So, it is said when you take bath in Gomati, you get 100 times more benefit than taking bath in Prayag. Prayag itself is a very powerful situation. The three rivers, confluence is also powerful in itself, but whatever benefit you get by taking bath in Gomati, Prayag, multiplied by 100,000 times, you get benefit in taking bath in Gomati river. Four-headed Brahma with his four mouths can never complete describing the glories of Gomati by his four mouths. And it is said if somebody dies in Dwarka, what is explained here is that if a donkey dies in Dwarka, he becomes four-armed, liberated soul, and goes back to Vaikuntha. One who sees Dwarka, one who hears the Dwarka's story of appearance, one who visits Dwarka, and one who donates little bit, it is said one kaudi, that means the smallest of unit of money. One kaudi is like a most insignificant amount of money. If one hears the Katha of Dwarka appearance, if one visits Dwarka, one sees Dwarka, donates a little donation, he will definitely go back to Godhead. Of course, in Dwarka, Goloka, Dwarka, Vaikuntha. So these are the wonderful place, glories of the wonderful place. And we can understand that in this place, the Lord chose later on to perform his pastimes of Dwarka. We all know that Dwarka was already existing in one sense. But by Lord's desire, it manifests, unmanifests, it remains rudimentary, then it becomes fully blossomed, fully grown up, again becomes rudimentary to the vision of the world, again becomes manifest to the vision of the world, as per the sweet will of the Lord and his desire to perform pastimes and give benefit to all of us. So connecting this story of Anartha, the manifestation of Dwarka in the ocean of Western Ocean, to the story of Sri Krishna when he was in Mathura and he saw that at the same time Kalanemi or Kalayavana? Kalayavana. Kalayavana was coming with his millions of soldiers, and Jarasandha also was coming for the 18th time. So he said it will be too much for Mathura Vasis to bear this constant atrocity of having wars in the living areas, residential complex, not in the war field, you know. They were having this kind of atmosphere of war right in the middle of the palaces, on the roads and everywhere. Houses are surrounded by all armies and all shootings are going on. So Lord Krishna Balaram decided that this is too much. So let us move from here to save our people. It appeared that Lord Krishna was a little bit scared. It was not like that. He was very concerned about his people who were already gone 16 times the atrocity. So what he did, he called Vishwakarma and instantly developed Dwarka. And everybody was sleeping in that night in Dwarka, in Mathura. And they were sleeping in their own houses in Mathura. But they woke up in Dwarka, in new houses. It's very amazing actually. However you deeply meditate and imagine, it's simply inconceivable how this can happen. Sri Krishna is so beautiful and so wonderful, so amazing personality, that he loves his kinsmen so much. Mathura Vasis are, it is said that demigods see them as four-armed constantly. They are always eternally liberated souls who take birth in them, who are in Mathura actually. And they are so much, everybody is so much in love with the Lord, ladies and men and women, children. So he was so much concerned about them. They didn't apply, my Lord, it's too much, 17 times, it's like too much of pain. Well, when are you going to stop all these things? How long we are going to go through this? We are staying with you, we thought we'll enjoy with you, but this is too much. They didn't apply. Surrendered souls don't have to apply for anything. Surrendered souls always get things ready-made because by the fact of their surrender itself, with the reality of their surrender, that itself makes everything. Lord becomes obliged to take care of everything of the devotees and think of them proactively and actually act upon them also. It's not that they plea and then Lord say, okay, the Lord is so concerned. So overnight, Lord shifted them with no difficulty of shifting. Oh, now my palace here, now my things over here. How will I carry? It's in the middle of the ocean. How will we go? Will there be a boat on the way to go after we touch the ocean? Nothing. Instantly they woke up in the morning fresh and they saw they were in new houses in the beautiful places. That's how Sri Krishna comforted them. And then the demon Kalayavana came there also. And that time everybody was peaceful. The Lord came out of Dwarka from the ocean to the land. And whatever happened next is happening on the land where today's Dwarka is there. That also we should know. All the pastimes in Dwarka which Lord performed, when this pastime ended, Dwarka was taken over by the ocean. And today also Dwarka is under the ocean. The real Dwarka is under the ocean. What we go today is symbolic Dwarka, which was like created symbolically on the land. Dwarka was never on the land actually. So whatever we say today is a symbolic representation or manifestation for our benefit, for our yatra, for our purification. So that is where Sri Krishna came out on the land and then dealt with Kalayavana and whatever. So one is overnight creation from Mathura to Dwarka and transfer. This is the place where Sri Krishna actually built 16,108 palaces. And each palace was, this is a very brief description, actually you can understand. It's only description of one bedroom and one lattice and from where what evening time. What about morning time description? What about afternoon time description? What about night time description? What about dinner time description? In this palace, which was so opulent, Rukmini Devi would fan Krishna. Rukmini Devi would cook for Krishna personally. She had so many servants, but she would personally head the cooking. She would serve Krishna, arrange his plate beautifully. And Lord would very opulently reclining beautifully, would honor the prasad. And she would personally fan him and ask him, can I serve you something? Everything is fine. How is this? How is this? Imagine. And not only Rukmini Devi, as Krishna married the second one and third one, Everybody had one on their own palace. And it was not like a replica, like, okay, they created a design architecturally and he sanctioned the design and each palace was the same. It's not like that. Each palace was so uniquely different as per the taste of the queen who is coming in. It was up to their choices. Everything was so munificently, beautifully, magnanimously variegated. Everything was different. All the descriptions what you will find here, you may not be finding in the descriptions of the palaces of Satyabhama and other ones. And this is the place where Narad Muni was very curious to know what is happening. It's so difficult to maintain one wife, to fulfill the desires of one wife. Here there are 16,108. One time he brought one, Rukmini. Second time he brought two, Satyabhama and Jambavati. And then one more, and then 8 were completed. And the next time he brought 16,100 queens all together. Can you imagine? What kind of a procession it must be in Dwarka? You can imagine when Satyabhama came with Jambavati, it was such a beautiful situation. Everybody was ringing bells and throwing fragrant waters and singing songs and coming out with lamps and throwing flower petals. You can imagine the beautiful procession. But when 16,100 wives came, what kind of procession that must be in Dwarka? It all took place in Dwarka. How they must have been escorted to their palaces. How their marriage must have taken place in Dwarka. We can only imagine, no? By the mercy of Krishna, maybe one day we will be able to visualize. But you can only imagine in our heart how wonderful, glorious it must have been. What kind of perfect arrangements would have been there with the expert managers of Dwarka from Sri Krishna's entourage. And then each of them entered their house and there was ceremony of entrance of the house. Everything was perfect. There was nothing like what we do ordinarily, Graha Pravesh and everything. What you think Krishna must have done that? Everything was done so systematically and with great opulence. Dwarka is meant for opulence. Aishwarya Leela of the Lord. And there Narad Muni came to see. And what would happen there in Dwarka? The Sri Krishna would go to office. What was the office? Sudharma assembly of Indra. Indra had gifted Sri Krishna his own assembly of Indra Loka, Amravati. And that was Krishna's office. And he would sit in the office with all his great ministers, headed by Uddhava and Satyaki. And you cannot imagine how great soldiers they were, what virtuous people they were. All were like stars in the ocean of Dwarka, of opulence. And then he would finish his business in the evening, and when he would leave, and he will go, what will happen? He will divide himself into 16,108 forms. And he will enter in each palace. And then he would do different things in each palace. He would swing with one queen. He would play with another queen's children in another palace. In another palace, he would sit and talk to his wife confidentially. In another palace, he is eating food. In another palace, he is reclining and lying down on the bed and talking to his wife and playing children. In another palace, on the courtyard of the palace, he is talking to his children and talking to them. Every palace he was there. And every palace he was giving full time and attention to his wives and children. They had no complaint that, oh, you don't give time to me, you only are with her. There was no complaint. It is said that Sri Krishna satisfied his all wives to their brim. Complete satisfaction. Each of them he gave 10 sons and 1 daughter. That itself went into lakhs. That itself was Yadav Sena. Can you imagine his own family, his personal first degree, first level family was lakhs of people. So in every respect, from the understanding of Vatsalya of his wife, he gave them 10 children, one daughter and 10 sons. As a husband, he satisfied them. All their emotional needs, he fulfilled them. It's all in Dwarka actually. Then, this is where Kalyavana came, Jarasandha attacked. This is where actually he exhibited his opulence of detachment to the person who he defeated 16 times. Is that right? 16 times or 17 times? 17 times he defeated that personality. Something like 85 crores of army he would bring, if I am right. 18 Akshavanis each time, or 24 Akshavanis. 24 Akshavinis, 1.5 times more than Kurukshetra army, total army. Such kind of armies he had defeated already. The same person comes again to attack and then just walks off. He exhibited his renunciation to his own fame, to his own glory, which he had only already earned himself. Why? Because his love for his devotee, for him, was higher than his own glory that he has created. To exhibit the response to Rukmini's call. He is Antaryami Bhagwan, so he knows that the call in the heart, he heard. So it's not time to fight, because if I keep fighting here, then that opportune time of Rukmini Devi's marriage with Shishupal will happen, and then what about her litter, what about her heart? She has sold her heart to me right from childhood, simply by hearing about me. I did not even given darshan to her any time. So he renounced the opportunity to defeat Jarasandha again and just walked off and ran in response to the letter of Brahmana to rescue Rukmini from the hands of Shishupal, whom she was about to get married. This is Dwarka. This is the place where the queens of Dwarka were been hearing about Krishna right from their childhood. It is explained that Satyabhama was from Dwarka only. She was the daughter of Satrajit, and Satrajit always lived in Dwarka, and he had a big palace, and that palace also had latticeal descriptions, beautiful meshwork of carvings and everything. And from one of such carvings, Satyabhama would keep looking at Krishna. And it is said that she would shed torrential tears, and her tears would wash away all her mascara, and all her mascara and tears would gather on the terrace floor, where she would cry, gazing at Krishna, and then the water would evaporate, and the mascara had become a mountain there of all the years of tears that she shed looking at Krishna. And from there, she came to the palace of Krishna as his own wife. So, all the queens wanted to know about childhood pastimes of Krishna. I'm telling you in short. They requested Rohini Devi, who was the only witness of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. So all the queen, after incessant desire and incessant denial by Rohini, one day they sat there. And amazingly, we must have now never correlated, but Dwarka is the appearance place of Lord Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, and Udupi, Krishna and Balaram. Is it not true? When this beautiful narration took place, Sri Krishna and Balramji and Subhadra Devi, they fainted, and they assumed a very unusual form with all the legs inside the body and the arms stretched and big eyes and crying, smiling up to the ears and in ecstasy, in the ultimate Mahabhav. All of them fell down there, and Narad Muni took darshan and took promise from them. You will come in the same form in the material world for delivering all the people and invoking the love that you invoked in my heart by watching you in this beautiful form. So Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, who reside in Jagannath Puri today, this year there is a Navakalevaram, beautiful festival, which comes in many, many years when Ashadha month, becomes Adhik Mas, Purushottam Mas. This is the year 2015. Now the search is going on. And now the body is being carved very soon. Akshay Tritiya, I think they will start carving, and 1 month they will carve. And on Jyeshta Purnima, the Lord will give first darshan. That glorious Lord Jagannath, just by whose darshan only the ultimate love of Godhead can be developed, for which he actually appeared in the material world, in Nilachala. He appeared in Dwarka. And that Lord, what happened when the queens were hearing the description in absorbed mood, they were very assured that when Krishna will come, Subhadra will knock the door and she'll make us aware and we will stop. But she didn't knock, she all fainted herself. So they were fully absorbed in fully assured way. We don't have to worry, we'll get a knock if there is a problem. So they were ultimately, fully absorption was there in ecstasy. And in their peak of their ecstasy, Sri Krishna and Balaram appeared in between them. While he appeared outside Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, in between the queens, he appeared a small baby with Balramji holding makhan in the hand and the churning rod. And Devaki, who had only chance to serve milk, feed milk to her baby only once after she was born. She was bereft of all that Vatsalya interactions. It is said that milk flooded from her breasts like rivers, and she fell unconscious out of overwhelming Vatsalya that she was feeling. And all the queens who were actually in Madhurya Bhav with Sri Krishna, they developed Vatsalya for Krishna. Because they saw baby Krishna. They never saw baby Krishna before. They were only hearing about it and wonderfully getting attracted to it. And the same person became our husbands. They were thinking like that. But they never thought that they will develop Vatsalya for their own husband. So when this pastime took place and got over, Rukmini Devi insisted to have the deities, and deities were made of Krishna Balaram. Exactly what she saw, kind of deities were made. And Rukmini worshipped them throughout the whole existence in Dwarka. And then when Dwarka Nakri was taken over by ocean, after the pastime got over, all the queens left from there and went to Vrindavan, went to Kusum Sarovar, heard from Uddhava all the Bhagavatam for 30 days, and they got delivered and they got merged in the original forms and went back to Dwarka. This whole pastime is there. After that, these two deities were very mysteriously and by the will of the Lord covered by Chandan. And they remained at the bottom of the ocean. And as Dwapari ended and Kali started, Kali Yuga, many hundreds of years, I think 800 years went, they mysteriously came on the ocean. And that's how a merchant brought them to Udupi, and that's how Madhvacharya got the boat rescued from the storm in the ocean. And the two logs of Chandan were given to Madhvacharya. One fell down, divided itself, and Balramji came out, and he was established there on the bank of the ocean by his own desire and speech. And another log was carried by Madhvacharya, and he melted the Chandan in the Madhva Sarovara, which is Ganga herself. And there appeared Sri Krishna, the deity which is worshipped there by Madhvacharya Acharyas. So glorious, so beautiful, so attractive, like baby Krishna is standing there. So Dwarka Nagari is origin of Udupi Krishna also. Then Sri Krishna, of course, gave birth to, I told already, birth to all the children there, Pradyumna, and then his son Aniruddha, and so many dynasties. And it is in Dwarka itself that Sri Krishna actually exhibited the glory of Vrindavan to all the queens in the form of the story that he had headache, and he sent Narad Muni to everybody, and then he sent him to Vrindavan, and then everybody went into the river, wet their legs and touched the sand and scrubbed it off and created tons of dust. And Narad Muni brought that tons of dust back to Vrindavan, back to Dwarka from Vrindavan. And all the queens were able to understand the glory of love of Vrindavan. Because what would happen when it is this place in Dwarka where Sri Krishna also experienced love and happiness and ecstasy of separation from gopis. Radharani also, Nanda Maharaj also, Yashoda Maharani also, everybody went to the ecstasy of separation in Gokul, in Vrindavan. But Krishna also was suffering through the pain of separation and ecstasy. And he would shed tears. At times he would get up in the night from the bedstead and stand up on the bed and call up Lalita, Vishakha, Radhe, Vrindavaneshwari, like that. And the queens, were so much in love with Krishna, they were wondering, what is there lacking in us? They were not envious of those names, whom he was calling. They were only thinking, can we do something to alleviate his pain? Can we do something which they would do for him, which I can give for him, and I can also make him happy? That was the only mood. Suddenly Krishna would start crying while taking prasad. So he said, what happened? You didn't like prasad? What happened? Anything was wrong in that? No. He said, no, everything is fine, Rukmini Devi, you are the epitome of Bhagya Lakshmis, the source, the highest, Sreshtatam of Bhagya Lakshmi. How can you make anything with fault? Your food is excellent, full of opulence. But when my mother would chew something hard prasadam, like laddu sometimes is there. So I was very small and my teeth were very delicate. So my mother would put those eating items in her mouth and she would chew those items and make it soft like a paste. and then take out from her lotus mouth and put it in my mouth. Like the birds do. How do you see the birds do? The birds will always crush the grains and then they put there in the baby bird's mouth. It is love, to make the things comfortable and easy for their children. Like that, my mother would do for me. And that taste of that half chewed food material which I would have in my mouth from my mother's mouth, how can I explain to you, how can I describe to you, how can that match this food? That taste is something extraordinary. So such kind of discussions would take place in Dwarka palaces. And the wives would hear it with great interest and great appreciation, adoration. Wow, what a beautiful thing our husband is telling. And they would always think what we can do to somehow make him feel happy. So Dwarka is also kind of a mixture of Madhurya separation experiences with Aishwarya experiences with the queen's head. And in one sense, Radharani expanded herself into Rukmini and all the queens, so that she could also associate with Krishna, and somehow whatever pain Sri Krishna would undergo by their separation, somehow it will be little bit, subdued, little bit, pacified. So Sri Krishna enjoyed the company of Radharani through the personality of Rukmini and all the queens, actually, in one sense. But still it was not that thing that he experienced in Vrindavan. Now we are coming to this situation here. Now here what is happening is, Rukmini Devi is beautifully dressed up. Rukmini Devi's personality, since she was born and she came to her understanding of her senses, she was only dreaming, meditating, absorbing herself in Krishna's thoughts. It's amazing, is it not true? You fall in love, it is said, when you see somebody. You see somebody and you fall in love with. But in divine atmosphere, in the consideration of divine dealings, simply by hearing about the beloved, one develops attraction. And she was only hearing about this great personality called Sri Krishna. Whatever happened from his childhood, whatever news would come, she would hear, and her attraction was getting deeper and deeper and broader and intense and more intense and more intense. And it's like really, it impresses our heart to see the focus of Rukmini Devi. It is said that Rukmini was so beautiful that demigods were desiring her actually. And when her marriage was announced, her brother declared it for Shishupal, his close friend. His father was always dreaming that Krishna would be her husband. And so also each and every Vidarbha Vasi, the kinsmen of Bhishmaka, they all were praying and desiring and dreaming the only husband which can be there for Rukmini, our dear princess, is Sri Krishna. And what they said? Oh, alas, alas, what we can do? Now is this Rukmi, the arrogant, powerful son of Bhishmaka, is desiring to hand over his sister Rukmini to Shishupal, the demoniac person. We don't want it. We would like to offer all our pious credit of last 100 lifetimes to Rukmini, so that she can attain the hand of Krishna. This is everybody else's thought process. And what is Rukmini's thought process? She is not thinking, I am princess, I am so great, I am so beautiful. Her beauty was so attractive that demigods are falling in love for her. And everybody came from distance to see. At least last time we can see her as maiden. Kanya ke roop mein last time we can see her. And they all gathered. You can see her. You can imagine her beauty was so much that day. Like, when I remember when President Clinton came to India, people were barricaded, and they were on both sides of the road. And there were millions of people standing on the both sides of the road just to wave and have a glimpse of President Clinton. This is President Clinton and Bombay roads. What about Dwarka roads? What about Bhishmaka kingdom, Vidarbha? And all the the princess and kings with all their opulence, with all their kingly dresses, sitting on the horses and chariots, they were siding on both sides of the road. How beautiful she must be. Bhagavatam describes her beauty. She was just 13-year-old. And she was so beautiful. Her face was like moon with locks of curly hair covering the beautiful portions of her face. And what she was thinking? That maybe I am not fit for Krishna. I've done all the things. I've sent letter, I've done everything, I'm meditating, I'm praying, and still he has not come. So she's thinking, if he thinks that I'm not fit for him as his wife, then I will perform 100 lifetimes more of tapasya to become eligible for her. She's not thinking, I am already qualified. So look at me, I am just from birth, since I came to my senses, I have been meditating on this person. I'm already eligible. So she always maintained her focus and always maintained her humility. That is very impressive actually. She never, generally beautiful ladies are generally proud. And plus she was like extraordinarily beautiful. She explained in further verses that personality of Rukmini comes whenever Sri Krishna takes birth as a human being, she takes as birth as human being, like Lord Ramchandra and Sita Devi. Whenever Sri Krishna decides to become a demigod in demigod planets to deliver them, she becomes demigoddess suitable to him. And whenever he comes as supreme personality of Godhead with opulence, she also comes as Bhagyalakshmi with full opulence. She is always meditating on focus. I should match with my husband. Not less, not more. Not making me proud so I can become more, or not less, not to match with his glory and dignity. Perfectly, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains how this personality of Rukmini always comes in a humble mood just to match with the glory of her husband and to match with the service that she can do. So what is she thinking now? Now the time is that evening time, the moon has just arisen, the beautiful palace is filled with Aguru's incense, and Sri Krishna has also planted a tree of Parijata. There is a grove, and from there the divine Parijata, the fragrance is coming inside the palace through the holes of the lattice. The beautiful atmosphere. It's like a mystic, divine atmosphere. And Krishna is relaxing, and one Dasi is fanning Sri Krishna. So what Rukmini did? Rukmini took that chamar from Dasi and started fanning herself to Krishna. She is a queen. She is Patarani, number one queen out of all the queens. But she has not given up her humble service attitude even in that position. So it may happen that in the material world, suppose some low-born woman, very beautiful and very everything, but born in a very middle class or a very poor family, and a prince gets attracted to her, or maybe a son of a rich man gets attracted to her, very highly qualified, very highly intelligent, highly opulent, very affluent personality, they fall in love and they get married. Maybe at the time of marriage and before marriage, the girl will think, oh, I'm so lowly, I'm not so qualified, I'm not even a match for you, why you, and feel very obliged and very grateful and very humble. But once marriage takes place, then she feels, oh, now I'm on equal platform. There are many stories like this in the material world. Once they marry, then they become equal, and then the argument and fights and everything takes place as if I was equal with you. This is the material world. But in the spiritual world, she is also the best. She is not like that. She considers herself unqualified, but she was the best. And in that humble mood, finally she achieved Krishna very surprisingly and very amazingly. Oh, the goal of my life I achieved. My Lord is so merciful, Although I'm not qualified, finally I achieved my husband whom I wanted to get married. But all throughout, she maintained the humility. Whenever Sri Krishna would cry during prasadam, she would ask, what can I do? How can I make you happy? Is there any deficiency in our service? Please let us know. Is there anything we can do? And the glory is that there were so many wives, and Rukmini's personality is such that he brought a tree and he gave only one flower to Satyabhama, and she was so furious. She was so expressive. She was so angry. There is a Rupa Goswami explains in Nectar of Devotion the ecstasy in envy. How some devotees of Sri Krishna, they express, something like envy, which is endowed with ecstasy of love. Not the envy that we and you feel, the ecstasy of envy, which enhances Krishna's love for that lover, or for some other lover also. There is a divine envy. It's not just envy the way we feel. So Satyabhama expressed that envy. See, you gave her full tree, and I have only one flower. So then Krishna said, okay, we'll go. And he brought another tree for her. But it is said that Rukmini never argued a word with Krishna. Although Satyabhama reacted so violently with Krishna, he made Krishna go and bring and satisfy her. So Sri Krishna never got such kind of ecstatic anger or envious or something like that mood from Rukmini. So Acharyas explain why Krishna teased Rukmini. Because Rukmini was so self-satisfied and so subservient and so humble that Krishna wanted to invoke something like this in her and enjoy the beauty of that expression and that interaction. That is why he thought, I will now relax and I will start teasing Rukmini. This is Rukmini. That her so-called negative emotions, like whatever, she fainted and she cried and she was saying, why you say like this? And she fainted. She couldn't tolerate all this kind of mood. It is said that the beauty of the lover is expressed or is experienced by the lover, by the beloved, when she gets angry. And it was enough abundant in case of Satyabhama. She was giving that pleasure to Sri Krishna in abundance. But Rukmini was very composed and very mature. She was ideal senior wife of Krishna. And because of that, Sri Krishna had to perform this pastime to invoke the glory of Rukmini, to see and to appreciate what Rukmini was, what kind of character she was. The most striking feature in her character is her humility. All the time. She never ever, after many, many years of marriage also, after living with Krishna as wife and enjoying everything as equal to Krishna along with him, she never gave up her humility. That's why she could have that possibility of taking the charmer from her servant and then fanning Krishna. So each and every character in Krishna Charitra is very glorious and can give us much, much great insights in their personalities, and we can learn a lot from each personality. And this Aishwarya that we are experiencing here is something which is ununderstandable, inconceivable. We get attached to so much little Aishwarya we have, little here and there, we become so proud and we become so miserly. As we get little more wealth, become more miserly. But here Rukmini is going to a house. Her father's house was also very opulent, but where she went as wife was like unbelievably opulent. But she never become proud. Kunti Devi says that Janma Aishwarya Shruti Sribhir, when one gets high birth, she was already having high birth. She was very learned from childhood. Under the company of many great sages would visit her father's kingdom. She had served them. Janma, Aishwarya, Shruti, knowledge she had. Shri, beauty, oh, beauty, we cannot describe what beauty she had. Everything which can make you ultimately proud was already there in her. But because of her absorption and dedication to Sri Krishna, she was so humble. And that humility, that opulence, and that connection with Sri Krishna's dynasty, further elevated her from where she was. From the connection of husband point of view, from Aishwarya point of view, from beauty, as a maiden girl looks one beautiful, but when she gets married, she becomes many, many more folds beautiful by the connection of a loving husband, like Sri Krishna. Beauty enhanced, but still, she never became proud. It is explained by Acharyas that when you have high birth, high education and knowledge, and you have opulence, and you have beauty, it is very difficult to become a devotee of the Lord. Only when you Tvam akinchana gocharam, when you consider yourself as akinchana, that time you become the recipients of mercy of Krishna. And if somebody is having all these things and still maintains humility, it is explained that that person has the mercy of the Lord, mercy of Radharani, mercy of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. That one we have to understand. When we see humility in spite of all these great things, we have to understand that is the residence of mercy. Mercy resides over there in the heart of that person. He has achieved the mercy of Srimati Radharani, Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Sri Krishna by his deeds, by his activities, by his consciousness. That is why Dhruva Maharaj was blessed that you will live for 36,000 years but no pride will touch you. Bali Maharaj was blessed that you will live amongst the demons for thousands of years in Sutarloka, the most opulent planet. Then Indra also. They will become envious of you. Such opulence will be there. But you will be untouched by the company of your divine family, untouched by the opulence around you. You will maintain your devotion to me and will attain me at the moment of your departure. So many kings were blessed like that, only because of their devotion. And we see here, Dwarka is having so much opulence, but Sri Vrindavan is much higher opulence than that. But the opulence of Vrindavan is little subtler in nature. In external opulence also, Vrindavan is very opulent. But the real wealth of Vrindavan is the subtle wealth of love that it has. This wealth of love in Dwarka is Aishwarya love, with understanding of Supreme Lord as Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna as Supreme Lord. But the love of Dwarka Vasis is with understanding, and the love of Vrindavan Vasis is without that understanding. They don't know He is Supreme Lord. They love Him. So that love is subtly exuberant and magnanimous and unlimited. So this is spiritual world. We are rotting in the material world here. We see some wealth here, somebody wealthy in the jail struggling to manage his loan payments, and somebody is completely immersed in sense gratification, drinking wine, and you cannot imagine the wealth in this world, what it does to people, and how people rot here and suffer and become then lizards and animals and suffer in hells. This is the wealth what we see here, temporary wealth which we have to anyway leave back here. And here we hear about the wealth and opulence which nourishes your soul, enriches your heart, makes you eligible to enter the kingdom of God simply by hearing these beautiful descriptions. So let us all take away our minds from the opulences and wealth, so-called glittering, attractive wealth, and let us focus our mind in the wealth of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is described over here. If you simply meditate on that lattice, jala randhra, it is explained that even if you meditate on that lattice hole, your life will be perfect. How the milk-like moon rays are bathing the palace of Rukmini. If you just meditate on this, your heart will be so blissful. And by reading also, heart was so happy to understand in short words, few words, this is described here, the beauty of Rukmini's palace. Imagine if we get to go there by the mercy of the Lord. If we get to love the Lord the way they love the Lord, how our life will be so opulent, spiritually opulent and full of bliss. That's why Prabhupada came here. He came from Goloka with the message to give us all opportunity to enter into the kingdom of God. Right now also we can enter the kingdom of God by the way of consciousness through the window of Srimad Bhagavatam. At the end of the life when we perfect, we can physically also, we can actually enter the spiritual world. And the password, the visa is what? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. With this simple thing, all these opulence, beauty of love is available to us. Nothing can stop you when you take shelter of the holy name to enjoy, to relish the beauty of all these wonderful pastimes, to be there in consciousness and to keep our consciousness the highest level of spiritual bliss. It's all possible by chanting this one mantra, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Why we are wasting our time, the precious human life where all this opulence is available to us through the window of the holy name, through taking shelter of the holy name. Let us all pray to the Lord that we develop taste for the holy name, desire to chant the holy name, and keep always our consciousness at the feet of the Lord, so that all these beautiful things that are available to us will become available to us. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Are there any comments? Are there any questions? Anybody has? द्वारकाधीश भगवान की, रुक्मिणी देवी की, श्रीमंत द्वारका धाम की, गोमती रिवर की, दाई गौर प्रेमानंदी। हरि हरि बोल।